Hi, this is Brendan Davis from Bedrock Games and the Bedrock blog, and I'm doing a 1 a.m. movie review. This is one of my sort of late night reviews. I just finished watching Mermaid from Stephen Chow, which I've talked about a bit, and it just finished. I finally got a chance to see it. It came out this year. It stars Deng Chow and it has a bunch of cameos. And I'm not familiar with the lead actress, but she was really good. In fact, let me find her name. Lin Yun, I think her name is. She was really great. And the guy who played Prince Important in Journey to the West, Conquering the Demons, is in it. There's but and Shui Hark has a little small role in it. It's a comedy, as you would expect from Stephen Chow. I heard different things from different people about it. I thought it was funny. I really enjoyed it. The thing I like about these kinds of movies is they are a combination of a lot of things. You get the humor, but you also have there's also heart to it. There's also sort of action, and so you just kind of get everything that you would want from a night of watching the movies. And this, to me, this was up there with the other Stephen Chow films that I've seen. He doesn't star in this one, so he directed it and he co-wrote it and produced it. Uh, but the actor Deng Chow, I was really surprised how good he was in this. I've seen him in other movies and he's always good, but I've never seen him in like a really comedic role like this. I saw him in The Four and I saw him in Detective D. So, and I think he was in the Heaven Sword Dragon Saber that came out in 2009, the TV series. But I just wasn't expecting him to work this well in a comedy, and right from the beginning. It opens with like a really, like I've said this before, it opens with music that's like really triumphant and over the top, and for me that just worked. And I think one of the things that with these kind of movies, the humor, for me, the humor really gets to me. I really find it works for me. Not everybody has that same reaction. So when I recommend this to friends, I say some of the things you want to really look for is like the overacting kind of sells a lot of the humor. You have to really kind of buy into the overacting moments, and you just have to sort of give into some of the silliness, the slapstick, the sort of the clever setups. There's a great scene in this one. The whole premise is just silly. The premise is wonderful. It's a group of mermaids. Their land has been the bay that they inhabit has been purchased by a billionaire, Mr. Liu, and he has a sonar implanted in the region, and it's really powerful and ends up like hurting them, and they have to retreat into a small little like cove. And so they decide they want to get revenge against this Mr. Liu, and they're gonna kill him, and they send one of the female mermaids as a sort of like honey trap so that they can assassinate him. And it's just, I don't know, I think it's a really really great setup, and it becomes like a love story between the mermaid and Mr. Liu. And I won't spoil too much, but you sort of imagine maybe if Stephen Chow had done Splash. That's sort of what this was, but but it's even more ridiculous in its premise. And so there's a great scene. They're all mermaids, but there's one character who's like a half octopus, half man, and he's sort of hell bent on getting revenge against Mr. Liu. And so at one point, he's trying to help the female mermaid convince Mr. Liu that she's a real woman, and so she takes him for some sushi, and he's the sushi chef, and his octopus tentacles are mistaken for food items, and he's got to cut himself up and serve himself to Mr. Liu and to the female mermaid. So it was a really funny scene. I'm not doing it any justice, I'm kind of butchering the storyline here. It's not exactly how it went down, but it was a really well done scene. There were a lot of scenes like that. There's a great scene between the female mermaid and I think her name was Shan. Yeah, so between Shan and Mr. Liu, where they're singing together, and it's just, I thought it was really funny. So again, I sort of at the beginning of this I talked about how one of the things that's funny about these things is the the wrong emotion for the occasion, and so they sort of have a sweet duet they do, and then they go into like this like triumphant like wuxia sounding duet that just does not sound appropriate for the moment, and the way that they're, the looks on their faces and everything are what really sell it. So yeah, so I enjoyed this. It actually has a really strong animal rights theme. I think it's the dolphin the mermaids are kind of stand-ins for dolphins, is what it was my reading of it, or that sort of thing. And so I suspect all of my animal rights friends. I know I have a number of people that I'm friends with on Facebook and stuff who are into animal rights. I suspect this will appeal to them. It is very brutal in how it depicts some things, but I think that's in order to help make its point. So again, some people might find that a little bit heavy-handed. I felt, and again, I'm not the biggest sort of political activist type person by any measure, but I found that the ending of the movie, when it kind of shifted to maybe more heartfelt stuff, it was effective. And so I think if you're inclined towards concern for animal rights, this film might have some appeal for you. But that's almost a whole separate issue. Really, it's meant as a comedy, and so again, I really enjoyed it. Is it my favorite Stephen Chow movie? I don't think it is. That's a tough one to answer. I think his best film is probably Kung Fu Hustle. I think that one is the one that resonates with the most people, and I definitely remember that movie. The most, I think, out of all of his films. But this is a really good movie, and I suspect with time it might rise in my estimation. So we'll have to see. It's again, it's more of a romantic comedy. But it's still quite silly. It's got there's a lot of I'm thinking back now and starting to remember some of the humor. One of the ways I sort of evaluate whether a comedy is funny to me is how often did I laugh and how many jokes do I remember them really squeezing in there. I like there to be a lot of jokes. I don't like there to just be like one joke and then no. So there was a considerable amount of humor, I felt, especially towards the beginning, and then it kind of eases more into some maybe more serious storylines because they've established the characters and got you to care for them. But it really was. I mean, I thought it was there were a lot of really funny beats in this, and it moved very quickly, and the ending turned on a dime. And some of the stuff, when you just think about it, is so ridiculous. So that's where a lot of the humor comes from. But I was laughing out loud watching this. There were some moments that really had me laughing, and so yeah, I'm really glad that I saw it. I guess there's no question I would have seen it. I was going to see it no matter what, but I'm glad that I finally seen it, I suppose. So, and yeah, and so the actress who plays the mermaid, she actually reminds me of almost like a young Shu Qi, the woman from Journey to the West, Conquering the Demons, and the Assassin. She just like the way that she carries herself and even her appearance, she reminds me of that actress. And again, Deng Chow was really impressive in this. I thought I liked him in the other roles. I just never I guess I just didn't picture him doing a comedy like this. I'm sure he's been in comedies, and I just haven't seen them. But he really was great in this role. There was another woman in the movie, Zhang Yu Chi. I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly, but she plays sort of the other woman. And I won't get too into her what goes down with her because it would spoil things. But she's really good too. And the guy who plays the octopus. Again, he played Prince Important. That's the only other role I've seen him in, but his name is Xiao Luo. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right either, but he was hysterical. He was really good. And I don't know, there's just so much about this movie that I enjoyed. And I like at the beginning, they have sort of they basically, if you've ever seen those mermaid documentaries, I forget if it was on Discovery or what channel did it, where they tried to make it look like mermaids were real. They basically took that idea and just ran with it. And the mermaids are all led by this elder, this old woman who's sort of their elder, and and at the beginning she's basically says we need to go, we need to we need the humans are evil, but and then she falls asleep and she's like asleep for the whole movie, so she never gets to finish her butt until the very end. But I thought that was a nice, I liked that, I liked the way they did that. So basically they're all hell-bent on revenge, and but then by the time they get to the end, you can see, oh, maybe they ought to be that way. It's not looking too good for the mermaids. So yeah, so it was a funny movie. It's meant as sort of a romantic film, but it also gets into some animal rights stuff, and I think I think overall it just was a nice, well balanced movie, which I like. And again, when I say well balanced, I don't mean that in the sense of like an American film, like an American romantic comedy. I mean, when I watch a movie from China or Hong Kong, I I I expect it to really hit all these different beats. I expect to have moments where you're gonna want to get teary eyed, moments where you're gonna really be laughing out loud, and then moments when it's almost weird because they're getting you to laugh out loud after something really horrible just happened, which they do in this movie. That's the way that these movies do things. I like that. I like the sort of just zipping from one emotion to the next like that. It's like you get everything in a night. So yeah, so I enjoyed it, and again, I wouldn't say it's my favorite Stephen Chow movie. It's certainly not the worst one though, and it's certainly really good, I think. And I can see why it did so well. And there's also probably some things that I'm missing just because I'm an American and I'm, they're culturally relevant things, and also this is all through translation. So if something that might be really funny in Chinese isn't always going to be as funny when it's subtitles or dubbed. I was watching it with the subtitles. So that's always something that I try to keep in mind. And so sometimes, because I'm maybe responding more to the physical humor, because that's what is less reliant on translation, it might be affecting my sort of assessment of how funny it is. But again, I was surprised how well the stuff translated. There were a lot of jokes that were just in the dialogue that really worked well, and maybe part of it is that I'm maybe better at intuiting them now that I've been sort of watching this kind of stuff for a while. But I don't know. I think some jokes just get through that barrier easier than others. So anyways, I do recommend it. Again, the name of the movie is Mermaid. It came out this year. It's a Stephen Chow film, and you should be able to get it on Blu-ray or DVD. I'm sure they'll probably have it on Netflix or something, or Prime at some point. But for right now, I think you might have to buy it. So, all right, I will talk to you later. Bye.